Hey, welcome into the Stinkin Truth Podcast alongside Mike Evans. I am Mark Schlereth. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, of your weekend. Please make sure you share it and make sure you subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it as we continue to grow. Mike, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm still trying to get a handle on this hat. You're a big hat guy. I've never seen you. Mm-hmm. You always have a hat on, but this is a new hat. And I don't know, man. I don't know if that color is part of your palette.
You don't think this is part of you don't think I'm an autumnal? I don't know. This is great. This is one of the companies I work with in Colorado called Rocky Mountain Forest Products. And it's a Carhartt hat. You can see that little Carhartt sticker right there. But it's got trees because they're kind of a lumber company. So
I like the tree. I love the company. I love the trees. I just don't know about that color. I'm not sure.
Lumber is made of trees. So henceforth the reason that they've got trees on this hat. So I don't know. I don't know if the color is great. But it was one of those that was in my rotation. It hasn't been in my rotation.
No, I haven't seen you wear this.
It was really flat billed there for a minute, but I like, the kids nowadays, they wear them like this.
Yeah, no.
I don't like that. So I got to put some curvature to it. But no, it's not.
You're breaking up a little bit here. You're just breaking up a little bit here. Just quick. How
are we doing now?
All right, we sound good.
All right, we sound good.
I think we're good.
Maybe it was a little, who knows?
Maybe it was you moving around a little bit. Anyway, all right. We got the hat. We got that figured out. Maybe a different color, but maybe people want to react and say thumbs up or thumbs down on Mark's color choice, on the color choice. Saquon Barkley, where did this one come from? The other day where he talked about, hey, when I decide to retire, it will probably be an announcement that comes out of nowhere and will surprise people like Barry Sanders. I mean, talk about giving Eagle fans heart palpitations. What's that all about?
It's so different than it was in my day, right? In my day, you're not making any real money and you're trying to stay as long as you can possibly stay. And, we just saw Frank Ragnow of Detroit, 4-time All-Pro center, 29 years old, just say, sayonara, I'm done. And I know that he's suffered through some injury issues, right? And I can imagine that he was coming back. He signed a 4-year deal just a year ago or something, that he was coming back for another couple of years, but he's made $60 million over the course of his career. And for whatever, he has some foot problems. He's torn a pec. He's had a couple different injuries. He's just like, hey, man, my body's not responding. It's not bouncing back like it normally does. So I'm out later. I've got I've cashed, I got $60 million that I've made. It's different than it was in my day. And we've seen this with several different players. And, this is crazy. But Saquon Barkley, I think, is going into year number 7. Think about that. And he's had the torn ACL. He's had a few injuries over the course of time. He was phenomenal last year. And so I would look at it from the standpoint of, hey, man, I was a 2nd overall pick. I've made a ton of money, right? I rushed for 2,000 yards. Yeah. I, by the way, won the Super Bowl, had one of the great running back seasons ever. I'm coming back. I'm going to try to repeat as a Super Bowl champion. If Saquon Barkley puts up another, call it 1,800 plus yard season rushing the football and puts together another championship run, I could see him saying, I'm good. I've made a ton of money. I've had a ton of success. And by the way, right now, if he was to retire, I question whether he's a Hall of Famer, but give me another Super Bowl run. Give me another 1,800 yard season. And I compared him today on my television show, Breakfast Ball. I compared him to Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis really did all his damage in 4 years. Now, he had phenomenal playoff runs, and he had a Super Bowl MVP. But 4 years, where he went 1,100, then the next year it was 1,400, the next year it was 1,700, the next year it was 2,000. Mm-hmm. And then after that, he was injured. It was a 7-year career. But if you're Saquon Barkley and going to the Hall of Fame is one of your kind of goals, if you do what you did last year or close to what you did last year again, and it culminates with another world championship, dude, you're a Hall of Famer. I don't think there's any question.
I can't help but think I'm looking behind you. You get the X's and O's, plays drawn up, and you're somebody that loves studying the game of football. You love poring over tape and looking for trends and tendencies and stuff like that. I contrast that with Tyreek Hill, who came out recently and said that he doesn't really study his opponents. He doesn't really dive deep into the film on cornerbacks and safeties. He says a lot of the prep that he does is based on Madden and what a player's Madden rating is. Help me make sense of that.
That is, I'm faster than you, and I know it. Like, hey, no matter what you do, I can outrun you. Like, I can't imagine being that gifted that you can go, I wonder what this guy does. Never really studied him on film. Let me look at what his Madden rating is. Oh, he's a 96. I better dig in a little bit. Says here that he's got good change of direction and quick feet. Like, I can't even fathom going into a game and not being prepared. I cannot, like, I always said this, and I talked to my son about this when he was getting ready to go into professional baseball. Like, honestly, Mike, and this is patting myself on the back, but I can honestly tell you with all my injury history and everything else, like, there was nobody who was ever more prepared than I was prepared when I entered a game. The stuff that I would do, not only from studying film, but I'll give you this true story. So when you have a home game, you go to the hotel and you sleep at a hotel with the rest of the team night before the game. And that's the way they can monitor you and, make sure that you're there and make sure that you're not running the streets. And, and there's always 5 or 6 idiots on every team that you've got to babysit, right? And so that's part of the getting together, going through our meetings and all that kind of stuff. So we would have a meeting at, let's call it, offensive line meeting starts at 6:30, and our 6 o'clock, and our team meeting starts at 7:30. Okay, so we would come in and go over the last kind of game plan stuff and film study and all that kind of stuff as a group, right? We all did individual stuff, but as a group, that was our last meeting. My wife thought that I had to be at the hotel at 1 o'clock in the afternoon for home games.
Why?
So she would drop me off at 1 o'clock, 15, quarter to 1, every home game on Sunday, because I would go into my room and I would spend from 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I would order lunch, and I would spend from 1 o'clock in the afternoon until that 6 o'clock meeting going through every detail of my game plan. And so, I've told you this before. We really ran 6 plays that we really dug into, right? But we would window dress them with motions and formations and personnel groupings. But, we're going into every game plan with 18-19 handoff, 18-19 handoff force, right? 18-19 weak, 18-19, 18-19 pitch, 18-19 toss, 14-15, all the same things, 14-15, 14-15, toss, for or not toss. We wouldn't run toss in that because that's a tight zone. But anyhow, so those are the games that was the plays that we would run with different window dressings and everything else. Now you're running those 6 plays against 8 different forms of defense, right? You got a under front, you got a 25 front, a 57 front, a 4-3 front. You might have a 3-4 front. You might, so you have the nickel, the 4-2 nickel, 4-2 nickel queen, 4-2 nickel king. You've got all these.
Now he's just showing off, people.
Right, you've got all these different fronts that you're running these things against, right? So I would go through each play, every step that I wanted to take. So I would write down like, okay, I want to take a 6-inch step, split the crotch of the defender. My second step, I want it down in the ground as my hands make contact. That's an 8-inch step. Like, I would go through everything. Wear my hat. I want my hat on the inside number, right on the jawline of the inside number. That's where I want my helmet to hit. I'm striking up, I want to drive this guy on a track. And I would write it all down for each play. And I would literally spend 6 hours or 5 hours just it was like I'd go through a pen in that setting. And I did that every game. Now, I didn't do it, obviously, when we went on the road. I had a 2.5, 3 hour plane ride to do it. So I would do it in the plane ride, and then I would finish it up at the hotel, right? But that's the way I would operate on every single game, leaving no stone unturned. That's how I I look at my career, and I can honestly tell you, I was never late to a meeting. I never missed a meeting. I never missed a workout. I never missed I have no regrets. I got everything I could get out of my body in this game. And to hear a dude say, I'm so freaking talented that I just look at Madden, it makes me, it gives me a piss shiver. Like, I can't even imagine being that unprepared to go into a game. But he is, I will say this about Tyreek. He is that unbelievably good. And he probably is shortchanging himself to a degree, but he is that good where he probably doesn't need to study film like I need to study film.
Some bouncing around here, some different topics. I found it interesting. We're past June 1st, which means, in theory, if an NFL team wanted to go after Bill Belichick, the buyout at North Carolina would be only $1 million, down from $10 million buyout prior to June 1st. Mark, simple question. Do you ever see Bill Belichick coaching an NFL team again?
What is he, 74-ish, somewhere in there? He couldn't get a job last year. No. What's the buyout for his girlfriend? Soon to be his wife. How much do they have to pay? An NFL team would have to pay Bill Belichick $11 million. They're probably going to have to pay her 11, 12, and they have to name her the general manager. So right. Nobody really wants to do that with what's her name? Jordan something?
Jordan Hudson.
Jordan Hudson. Nobody wants to do you really want to bring that? One, he's Bill Belichick and he's cantankerous and he wants, all the authority and all that stuff. And then you bring that in as well. I just can't imagine. I think that ship sailed. I think that's exactly why he's doing what he's doing. I think that ship sailed. I don't think any team is going to come after Bill Belichick. I think he'll finish his career here in North Carolina, and that'll be it.
Why? Why? I mean, we're getting ready to talk about Pete Carroll here in a second. There are plenty of older coaches in the NFL. I don't think Bill Belichick has necessarily lost his coaching fastball. So what's the reason? Why seemingly has he been blackballed by the NFL?
I don't think he's lost his fastball by any stretch of the imagination. I think that you want a dynamic guy in front of the camera that can lead your organization, that can be dynamic with the media and all those things. And Bill Belichick is none of those things. And then you put on top of this, I don't care what you say, when it comes to Bill Belichick, you're trying to sell hiring a curmudgeon who's had a lot of NFL success, but albeit with one quarterback, he's had all that success. Mm-hmm. So you're going to try to hire a curmudgeon who's got a girlfriend that's 50 years younger than him. So we're dealing with a couple of different things. One, we got to deal with that. You can deal with that if the dude is dynamic and he's not, but he's not. He is this. Pete Carroll is a different breed, right? Pete Carroll comes in there, man. He energizes an organization. He's fun. He's running around on the football field. He's throwing passes. He's running routes. When you see Pete Carroll. And, I did a preseason game for the Seahawks, and they invited me to come down and spend, 4 or 5 days in training camp with the Seahawks. And it was a gas. It was fun. And to watch the energy that Pete Carroll has on a football field, man, the running around, he is Mr. Excitement. He came up to me before practice. He goes, man, we're going to get after it today. Watch it. and the pace of practice and the pace that he keeps during practice and the competition that he creates and all those things. He's a dynamic leader, dynamic in front of the players, dynamic in front of the media, dynamic in front of the organization. Like, he's a guy you want to put front and center. Bill Belichick's a guy you want to hide behind closed doors. I just think it's done, man.
But he wins. He's got a track record unlike anybody else is out there. So what are you telling me?
Brady,
NFL owners?
He's a below 500 coach without Brady. Well below 500 coach without Brady.
True.
So, you know what? You and I have talked about this a million times. Coach or QB, Brady or Belichick. I will take Brady 100 out of 100 times. And I'm not saying Belichick didn't have an incredible impact on his career and that Belichick, you know, saw the talent and kept him as a 4-string quarterback and just kept saying, hey, man, and that Belichick didn't have an unbelievable hand in his development as far as, hey, when we get this defense, this is what we're trying to do to you. This is what we're trying to take away. This is where you need to go. Like, I'm not saying that Belichick didn't have a profound impact. He did have a profound impact on Brady's career. But come on, if you're asking me is it coach or quarterback, I'm taking quarterback 100 out of 100 times.
Think Robert Kraft has kind of smeared him to all the other NFL owners?
What would be the benefit in Robert Kraft smearing him? I just no
ego. I mean,
I don't think he smeared him, but I think it is one of those things. Hey, man, he's like Bill's the way Bill is.
He's a handful.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to deal with that. But you know, he's a phenomenal coach. He's not gonna come out and go, "Oh, I can't coach." So anyhow, is Bill getting married, by the way? Is he engaged?
Supposedly they're engaged. I did not have that on my bingo card. Did not have this all going down with Bill Belichick.
Dude, how many trips to the pharmacy do you have to make a month?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't. If you had told me at the height of his powers, Bill Belichick, the height of we're on to Cincinnati and all that stuff, that this is how it would turn out, I'd have said no freaking way. That he'd be basically blacklisted from coaching in the NFL. He'd be coaching at North Carolina, and he'd have a 50-year his junior girlfriend leading him around and doing mermaid photo shoots and everything. I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
Dude, he's just, hey, man, he's a couple of months away from, from giving money to some prince in wherever.
I mean, it's just, oh, well, hey, it's why sports is the greatest reality show, right? Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Bill.
It certainly is.
At North Carolina. Quick thought on Pete Carroll. I can't, it's one of those things that, we're here in Broncos country, and you played all those years against the Raiders and kicked their ass. What were you, 11-1 against the Raiders?
11-1.
Something like that. I think you've told me about, 76 times what your record is against the Raiders. But as much as, we like to have fun with Raiders gonna Raider and everything like that, let's be honest, okay? Having a good Raider team is good for the NFL. It just is. And I can't help but wonder and believe that they're in good hands with Pete Carroll. I think this is a great move for the Raiders. I think that just like when we saw Sean Payton come to the Broncos, Jim Harbaugh come to the Chargers, and now Pete Carroll come to the Raiders, just feels like all those teams finally have an adult in charge.
100% with you. I've said this, I say this kind of in jest, but not really. Like, I hate the Raiders. Like, I hate the Raiders with the white hot intensity of 1,000 suns. There's nothing better than just whipping their ass. Bunch of front running turds. Wow. But the bottom line is the league is a better place when the Raiders are relevant.
Yeah.
And they haven't been relevant in a long time. And I think Pete Carroll and the decisions that Pete Carroll is going to make are going to make them relevant. And the things I know about Pete Carroll, one, he loves Geno Smith. And like, I have talked to Pete Carroll multiple times on the field, calling a Seattle game before kickoff, and him raving about Geno Smith, like arm talent, unbelievable arm talent, knowledge, understanding of the game, unreal knowledge, ability to throw it wherever he wants with accuracy. Like Pete Carroll raves about him. So Pete Carroll had a chance. A lot of people talk to me about, well, maybe he'll go get Russ this offseason. I go, he ain't getting Russ. I guarantee you, Russ will not. He will not show up a Raider. People are like, no. He had all that success with Russ. I'm telling you, just as God is my witness, and the conversations of it, he is not coming after Russ, but he made the trade for the quarterback that he wanted, that he believes it can lead that franchise. And remember, the last year that he played under Pete Carroll, man, he led the league in completion percentage. He led the league in completion percentage of passes over 20 yards, I believe, if I remember correctly. Like he was money with that team that he took over. And so he's got his quarterback. He went and got Ashton Genty in the draft, who is a dynamic, big-time player out of Boise State. That dude, contact balance, able to run away from people, being physical, he's like 5'8" and 220. I mean, he's special. And I know this about Pete, man. I want to run the ball. I want to make these one-score games. I want to control the pace and the tempo of the game. I want to make these one-score opportunities and trust that my quarterback and my run game is going to carry us in those situations. I'm going to play stellar defense. I'm not turning the ball over. I'm taking that pressure off my quarterback. This is how we're going to win. It's like Pete believes in 90s football. He believes in 1990s football. And so, I think this is really good. Again, Raider fans, I think you're in great hands. I think this is really good. I think the Raiders are going to make some noise. I don't know. I believe the Raiders are going to compete with the Chargers and with the Broncos for one of the wild card spots coming out of the West. And I wouldn't be surprised if somebody jumps over the top of Kansas City in the West. I still think they're my number one team in the West, but I think this gap is closed dramatically, especially with the Raiders on the up and coming.
We'll get to a couple of questions, folks that have sent in questions to you that we'll answer here in just a second. But I found it interesting, and tell me if this is legit or if this is just what teammates need to do when you have a young quarterback. It seems like you're hearing a lot of positive stuff come out of Minnesota camp when it comes to J.J. McCarthy. Justin Jefferson talking him up. Harrison Phillips most recently making some comparisons to Josh Allen when he was with Buffalo. Is this real? Is this legit? Or is this just simply, hey, we got to run. We're riding with a young quarterback, and this is just a way to pump up his tires a bit?
Yeah, this is I'm sure that he looks good. Like, I always get a little bit, roll my eyes a little bit when we get to this point, right, where we're in OTAs and the local media is charting completions versus incompletions. Really, guys, this is what we're doing.
Shedeur Sanders is dominating OTAs if you look at the stats.
Right. And it's funny to me. I understand why we do it. I understand the excitement. We had the unbelievable video come out the other day of Travis Hunter making the interception, which was that's unreal athleticism. His ball skills. Like, how many other corners would ever make a catch like that? Right. Very few, I'm sure. So, we get excited about that because we long for football. Right? We're addicted to football. And so I understand that, but the whole thing of charting your passes and doing all that in OTAs is a little bit on the crazy side to me. So we get a little too involved with that stuff. I don't even know what we're talking about.
JJ McCarthy.
Oh yeah, JJ McCarthy. Thank you for the reminder. I appreciate that.
Boy, that's going to really inspire Minnesota Viking fans watching this right now.
Yeah, listen, when JJ McCarthy came out, you know how much I liked him, Mike. And one of the reasons I liked him, I know he didn't have a lot of pass attempts over the course of his college career, but he actually played in a real live West Coast type offense, where they ran the ball and where they had a fullback and where they, ran, NFL concepts in the passing game. So I thought that bode well for JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy going back to camp last year before he had the knee injury, I think was impressive. And, ultimately, I think there is some excitement at this time of the year in OTAs. We'll see exactly what he looks like come playoff time, but that's a really good team in Minnesota. And let's face it, man, Kevin O'Connell has done a great job coaching that team. He's had unbelievable success now with Kirk Cousins. And then he had unbelievable success last year with Sam Darnold. And they expect to have that kind of success with J.J. McCarthy. And Harrison Phillips is interesting because Harrison Phillips is a great football player. A lot of people don't know who he is. He's a defensive tackle. The guy is unbelievable. He's just a really solid, stud. And he talked about, he was in Buffalo when they drafted Josh Allen, and that kind of leadership and that excitement for the game and what he brings. And he said something I put down in my book of wisdom. Yeah, I've got a Harrison Phillips quote in my book of wisdom.
Let's go. Okay. Let's hear it.
To have, let me see if I can remember. Let me look at my book of wisdom because I don't want to misquote Harrison Phillips. And this is maybe this is a team mantra for them. So I go to my little book of wisdom. Here it is right here. You'll see I'll go all the way to the bottom. It's a long book of wisdom. These are Bible quotes and different quotes from people, and some of them are my quotes. Okay. Oh, here, I found it. Okay. You can't have unique results without unique relationships.
Okay. Makes
sense. Pretty good quote, right?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Pretty good quote. Can't have unique results without unique relationships. And so when you talk about those relationships and how you're talking to guys and how you're bringing guys up and how you're leading a huddle and how you're doing all that stuff, man, if he's got some of the stuff that Josh Allen, because Josh Allen, was completing 53% of his passes his first year. He was more, quote unquote, a runner than he was a quarterback as he was learning the NFL. Like that guy progressed, right? They won however many games they won the first year. Then they went 10-6 the second year and lost a playoff game. Then the third year, he was 13-3, and they were rolling. They were rolling. So we'll see exactly what the kid becomes. But that's pretty good. Here's one of my other quotes I really like, just since we're on my book of quotes. I don't even need to look this one up, but it's in here somewhere. I love this. And I don't know who said it, so forgive me for not being able to quote that. But the magic pill you're looking for is in the work you've been avoiding. Right. There is no magic pill. Go to work. All right.
Go to work. Last bit of last topic. You and I, along with Brandon Stokely, former outstanding wide receiver in the NFL for 15 years, we do our radio show here in Denver, and we were talking about the players in sports who are regarded as superstars, who face the most pressure to win a championship to sort of pay off, justify that superstardom. And we went through the list, and it included all sports. We had Aaron Judge and Bryce Harper in baseball, Mike Trout. We had Connor McDavid in hockey. But when it came to the NFL, and we were all in agreement, number one on all of our lists, most pressure in sports to win a title, Lamar Jackson. We didn't talk to each other before we did this. We all did it independently, but we all arrived number one at the same point, Lamar Jackson.
Right. Now the NFL, to be fair to this list, these lists that we made up, the NFL carried the most weight because the NFL is the most popular game by a long shot. So we all decided independently of one another, we all had the same kind of thought process of, hey, the NFL is going to carry. And so that's the direction we went. But Lamar is a two-time MVP, could have been easily the three-time MVP last year. And he started his playoff career not having a lot of success. Now, there's a lot of Lamar stands out there that tell you, oh, it's wide. He has never had a wide receiver. Never had anybody that could catch the ball. He did it all by himself. Oh, John Harbaugh is horrible. He can't coach. He's not putting him in the right position. So we had all these stands. But the bottom line, the guy is phenomenal. The guy is incredible. And the guy has had, these unreal seasons. Yep. And he's got, one of the best, he's got one of the best football teams around him. And there's part of me that really looks at this like, hey, man, what they've done as a front office what they've done from the general manager as far as creating a team. One thing I know about the Baltimore Ravens, and a couple of my buddies like Gary Kubiak and Brian Periani and guys and Rick Dennison, guys that have coached there, that were buddies of mine and coaches of mine when I played for the Broncos. Those guys will tell you, man, they have the Baltimore Ravens have a type.
Yep.
They're gonna get big physical offensive and defensive linemen, right? Linebackers. They're gonna fullbacks and running backs, and they are gonna bludgeon you. And you know how I feel about this. You control line of scrimmage in the National Football League, you're gonna win 80% of your games.
Yep.
I don't give a crap who your quarterback is. If you can control both lines of scrimmage, you're gonna win a lot more in this league than you're gonna lose. That's the Baltimore Ravens. And so some of it I put on coaching because they have gotten to playoff games where they forgot how they were made, right? And try to make it a shootout or try to make it a passing game. But it is time. Lamar has developed into that kind of quarterback where he can drop back and beat your ass. He can beat your ass from the pocket. These are things that I would have said early in his career that I'll say now. He has developed to that point. And they do have tight ends that can play. Zay Flowers is a big time, in my opinion, a big time player. And maybe they go to the Super Bowl last year if Zay Flowers doesn't get hurt, like in the last game of the season or whatever it was. So, but Zay Flowers is a big time performer. And I think he becomes an X factor. I think Zay Flowers needs to be the guy that leads them. I think he had 74 catches for 1,000 yards last year, but leads them in the passing game, leads them as a explosive player in their in their system. But don't make no bones about it. They still have to run the ball. They still have to base run first offense. I think for them to really have the success that we all expect them to have. And I expect the Baltimore Ravens, I expect them to be representing the AFC in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I expect that to happen this year. And if it doesn't happen, well, that to me is going to be a failure.
Yep. All right.
Because that's what they need to, that's the step they need to make, right?
It's obvious, right? Yes. And that's why I had no problem. You had no problem. Stoke had no problem saying that of all the professional athletes out there, the guy that faces the most pressure to win a championship because it's football, and especially because of the emphasis we put on quarterbacks, it's Lamar.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to leave you with something. This is going to be deep. Okay?
Another from the Book of Wisdom.
Yeah, this is going to be deep, but you got to get ready for this. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. So this is going to blow you away now. The devil knows your name, but chooses to call you by your sin. Jesus knows your sin, but chooses to call you by your name. Okay, think about that. Think about that. The next time you're feeling bad because you let somebody down, you let yourself down, right? Hey, man, Jesus knows you failed, but he still chooses to call you by your name. Think about that.
Not bad. Good way.
It's all about love.
Good way to end.
Hey, by the way, I love you, buddy.
I love you too.
Checks in the mail. You can
Sure.
get paid eventually. Hey, for everybody involved in the Seek Truth podcast, I am Mark. He is Mike. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day.